Of course. Here is the complete script, written according to your instructions. The video opens with slow, atmospheric music and cinematic shots of ancient, weathered statues and faded illustrations in old books. The visuals feel distant and impersonal. What if I told you that ghosts are walking among us? Not in the way you think. Not as spectral apparitions in the dead of night, but as echoes from a past so distant, their faces have been lost to time. Kings, warriors, poets. Figures who shaped nations, whose names we read in books, but whose eyes we could never truly meet. They exist as words on a page, as cold stone statues, as characters in a story. We know what they did, but we don't know them. For centuries, this was the unbridgeable gap between us and our ancestors. A visual silence. A lost family album for an entire civilization. But now, a new kind of magic is at work. A digital alchemy that is reaching back through the fog of history and pulling these ghosts into the light, giving them breath, skin, and a soul in their eyes. We are living in a time when the dead are being reborn, not through seance, but through silicon. And what they are showing us is changing everything we thought we knew about the past. If you are fascinated by the intersection of technology, culture, and the deepest parts of the human story, you are in the right place. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because we are about to explore the frontiers of our own memory. Before we dive in, I have a quick question for you. When you learn about a historical figure, which do you find more impactful? Let me know in the comments below. Is it A, a simple, historically verified sketch, even if it's crude and lacks detail? Or B, a vibrant, lifelike portrait that captures the spirit of the person, even if it's an artistic interpretation? A or B? Let me know. The answer cuts to the very heart of what we're about to uncover. Section 1, The Dawn of Digital Resurrection. Over the last few months, a quiet revolution has been taking place online, centered on the history of a nation rich with epic stories but poor in visual. Records, Vietnam. Suddenly, social media feeds began to fill with stunningly realistic portraits of legendary figures. Emperor Quang Trung, the military genius, seen not as a drawing, but as a man with a high forehead and a gaze of unbreakable resolve. General Tran Hung Dao, the commander who repelled Mongol invasions, his face etched with the gravity of a man who held the fate of a nation in his hands. Lai Thuan Kiet, the strategist, his expression a quiet storm of contemplation and fierce determination. These weren't the flat, stylized illustrations from old textbooks. They weren't actors in costumes. These images felt real. They had a weight, a presence, a soul. It was as if a photographer had somehow traveled back 1,000 years and captured a fleeting moment. The public was captivated. For millions, these were the faces they had always tried to imagine but never could. And the force behind this resurrection? Artificial intelligence. This phenomenon raises profound questions. How is AI breathing life into figures history had all but forgotten visually? And more importantly, what does it mean for our connection to the past when the line between historical fact and artistic creation becomes so beautifully, and perhaps dangerously, blurred? Section 2, The Spark of Creation. To understand this movement, you have to understand the void it came from. For many Vietnamese creators and history enthusiasts, searching for images of their national heroes was a deeply frustrating experience. The results were sparse and often inaccurate. You might find a cartoonish drawing from a children's book, or worse, a picture of an actor from a Chinese historical drama, mislabeled and passed off as a Vietnamese king. The nation's heroes lacked a face that was truly their own. This visual vacuum was the primary motivation. As one of the pioneers in this space, a creator named Nguyen Quoc Vong shared, the journey began from a place of personal longing. He wanted to see the heroes he read about, to connect with them on a human level. That frustration became the spark. Armed with new, powerful AI image generation tools like Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, a new generation of digital historians set out to fill in the blanks themselves. But this is not as simple as typing a name into a machine. The creation process is a meticulous and scholarly art form. It is a painstaking act of translation, transforming the sparse, poetic descriptions from ancient texts into a language the AI can understand. These creators become detectives, poring over centuries-old chronicles like the Dai Viet Sukai Ton Thursday, the complete annals of Dai Viet. They cross-reference academic research on ancient clothing, armor, and cultural artifacts. Every detail matters. The historical texts might describe a king like Le Ton Tong as having a high forehead, bright eyes, and an extraordinary appearance. Now, how do you translate extraordinary appearance into a con? Create command, a prompt, for an algorithm? It requires immense creativity and interpretation. The creator has to make choices, blending historical clues with artistic intuition to guide the AI. They might specify the type of silk in a robe, the angle of the light to convey a certain mood, or the subtle expression on a face to reflect a known personality trait. They are, in essence, co-directing a photoshoot with a ghost, using an AI as their camera. Section 3. Bridging the centuries. The impact of this work has been nothing short of transformative, especially for younger generations. History, for many, was a subject confined to dusty books and memorization. It was a collection of names, dates, and battles, abstract concepts that felt disconnected from the vibrant, visual world of today. It was something you studied, not something you felt. These AI-generated images have shattered that barrier. As one young student expressed, seeing these portraits felt like the historical figures were stepping directly out of the pages of their textbooks. The distance of centuries collapses in an instant. Suddenly, these heroes are no longer just names. They are people. You can see the weariness in a general's eyes, the wisdom in a scholar's face, the ambition in a young emperor's posture. They feel relatable. This is the power of visual storytelling. It bypasses the intellectual filters and speaks directly to our emotions. It makes history tangible and personal. For the first time, a young person in Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City can look at a portrait of a 15th-century monarch and feel a sense of genuine connection, even kinship. It transforms learning from a passive exercise into an active, emotional experience. These images are becoming powerful educational tools. They act as a gateway, a visual hook that sparks curiosity. A student might see a stunning portrait of a historical queen, become intrigued, and then be motivated to go read about her life, her accomplishments, and her struggles. The image isn't the end of the lesson, it's the beginning of a conversation with the past. It's proving that history doesn't have to be a black and white archive, it can be a full-color, high-definition epic that everyone can engage with. Section 4. The double-edged sword of accuracy. But as this technology brings the past closer, it also forces us to confront a critical and complex question: what is real? With this incredible power to create comes a profound responsibility, and the single greatest challenge is historical accuracy. An AI is not a historian. It has no consciousness, no understanding of context or truth. It is a supremely powerful pattern recognition machine. It operates on a simple principle: the output is only as good as the input. If the data it's fed, the descriptions from historical texts, is incomplete, biased, or one of the many conflicting versions of a story, the resulting image will reflect those flaws. The creators themselves are the first to emphasize this. These portraits are not, and should not be, considered 100% historically accurate photographs. They are artistic interpretations, educated guesses based on the best available evidence. The historical fog is thick. We simply don't have detailed, objective descriptions for most of these figures. We don't know the exact shape of their nose or the color of their eyes. Therefore, we must approach these images with a new kind of literacy. We have to understand that we are looking at a piece of historical fiction, not a historical document. It's an incredibly well-researched piece of fiction, but fiction nonetheless. It's a what-if scenario. What if this is what they look like, based on the clues they left behind? This introduces a fascinating philosophical debate. Is the goal perfect physical accuracy, an impossible standard, or is it to capture the essence of the person? Does the portrait of Quang Trung need to be a photorealistic copy of a man no one has seen for over 200 years, or does it need to convey the spirit of brilliant leadership and fierce determination the historical records so vividly describe? The danger lies in forgetting this distinction. If we begin to accept these AI-generated faces as definitive truth, we risk replacing the nuanced, complex, and often unknown reality of the past with a beautiful, but artificial, substitute.